time they figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, the hour has arrived. Let's begin our meeting. I think our main player is here today. So
you did hear him, right?
Yeah, we've heard of them. Representative Jackson will lead us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you, we ask for your guidance, your leading, Lord, as we take care of the business of this great state of Georgia. Father, we know that you're well able, so we lean on you and we depend on you and we trust you with everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Representative. All right. We have before us today House Bill 821, and the Honorable Representative Al Williams is presenting this bill to us. So, Representative, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this august committee. I just want to let you know out front that this could be the finest committee in the entire General Assembly. Just wanted to clear the air on a couple of facts. Hey, yeah, my mic's not on. Is that okay? House Bill 821 is to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of our code. And the general purpose is to adopt rules and asking boards to adopt rules and regulations, implementing a process by which military spouses and transitioning service members may qualify for temporary licenses by endorsement, expedited licenses, or a combination thereof for each profession, business, or trade for which a license is issued. Now, let me say this, that this bill is relatively short, relatively brief. This bill, I dropped this bill as a result of public hearings. This is a bill asked for by our military community. They've asked for this bill. This was not something I just thought up. And I was just telling to the representatives over at the CASA luncheon just now, I happened to be sitting there, and a young lady who's the director of our unit down in Liberty County, when we were talking about the bill, she says, I'm so glad. She said, when I moved here from Texas with my husband to Fort Stewart, I was a registered nurse in Texas. I couldn't get a license. It took me 6 months to be licensed, and we needed the money, so by the time I got my license, I was working for DFACS. 6 months, and she left a state where she was practicing, came to her state, same 4-year degree, same accreditation, same everything. Folks, this bill particularly, and the reason I dropped it was it's for our military spouses, because we checked, and it's proven in many of the answers that we got, one of the most important is, why is it important? 68% of married service members reported their spouse's ability to maintain a career impacts their decision to remain in the military. This is just a little something for our military community. And like a lot of bills, we can pick this bill till it looks like a chicken without a coat on. Every bill can be picked. But it's just very simple. It is. Do we help our military people to stay in the military, to stay in Georgia when they get out the military, to bring such a vast amount of expertise to our state, and being the recipient by representing a district that has 71% either active duty or veteran military? I see it every day. This is an opportunity to say thank you. I live in a district where we have 486 oak trees planted for people that have died while on deployment from Fort Stewart, Georgia. I just want to say thank you. We're going to give you a break, help you get into the profession that you are prepared for and you have been licensed for someplace else, or you're looking for a license originally here. We just built a campus on Armstrong State in Hinesville. We have Savannah Tech, I want folk, when they get qualified, to get through the tape and get to work and become a part of the working community. Military folk, just a little thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And I see our board lighting up, so we have some questions for you, which I'm sure you're eager to answer. Representative Dudgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I really love the bill. It's awesome. I'm trying to remember, this may be a question for you or for other members of the committee. We did something like this for veterans as far as temporary license and permits. And is this consistent with that, similar to what we did for them a couple years ago? Do you know?
Very similar.
Okay.
The only difference is this is specifically geared toward the spouses
Exactly.
of active duty military and reservists.
It's the same kind of program where we're making it
Same
easier to
kind
get
of
through the bureaucracy of all the boards and all that kind of
Exactly.
business. And I appreciate in the bill that you leave it up to the boards themselves to make the rules. You're not trying to
Yes, sir.
micromanage it.
Not trying to make the rules for the
Yeah.
boards. The boards will still make the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's come down the line. Representative Harden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Williams, nobody is more in favor of our military than I am. I
know you
represent
are.
a district that has the air base, Warner
Yes,
Robins Air
of course.
Base, but I would like to maybe suggest a slight change here. The bill that we passed a couple of years ago simply said that I think that military training could be used to satisfy some of the requirements. And so this is different, and I like it.
Oh, it is
It's a good
different
bill.
in
Appreciate
that
you
way.
bringing it. But I wonder if we could, under definitions, define temporary license as a license issued until the reciprocity process is complete. Now, that would mean they could go ahead and get a temporary license, but that would expire upon the reciprocity process being complete. I don't think that changes your bill in any way, but would like to ask if you would consider maybe defining temporary as we were talking about.
I think it does not, to me, it does not hurt the bill. I don't have a problem with it. The thing is that I want us to be crystal clear that not all of the applicants will be looking for reciprocity. Some of them will be first-time licensees who just need the process smoothed out. But I don't have a problem with that at all, the temporary.
Thank you, sir.
Not at all.
Thank you, Representative Harden. Representative Pizzo.
Chairman, Representative, as a lifetime resident of a military town, Fort Benning is my home. A lot of constituents are retired military. I really appreciate you bringing this forward. This is going to be great for my constituents and every Georgian. So thank you very much.
Thank you very kindly. You're a good man and a loyal American.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Sharper.
Thank you, Chairman. I like to say I really appreciate you bringing this because I know it firsthand with my daughter being a military wife and different license. So this is this hitting home. So I really appreciate you bringing this to us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Representative Tarbin.
The only question I have, Mr. Representative, is when you say temporary license to a first-time license holder, how would that work without going through the process of each?
I did not mean to imply temporary. What I'm saying is, how does it work? We speed up the process.
Okay.
For our military folks, speed up the process. If you've just come out of barber school, it's taken into consideration that you are the spouse of an active duty military or reservist. This is taken into consideration. It's just like some of the considerations given in many federal contracts, et cetera, where veterans have some preferences, et cetera. You get to literally move as close to the front of the line as you can. Don't get so bogged down. Impressions are everything. If you're a military wife, they don't make a lot of money in the early years. People need to go to work. And I'll be frank with you, I wished, this is just an aside, I have experienced the problems with getting licensed in this state, period. Told you about the example. I got involved with a young man who, in the governor's wisdom, he introduced prison reform. This young man had been out of jail for 6 years, applied for an apprenticeship as a barber. 8 months later, he was still waiting. I got involved with it. It literally had to go before a board with a lawyer on it to become an apprentice. Now you talk about bureaucracy stumbling in the way. I wished we could go further, but at least let's move some of these stumbling blocks from people. My base, Fort Stewart, leads the nation in deployments. We've been deployed 6 times for Afghanistan or Iraq or both of them. And it really would help us. And any other base or post that has had to deploy. I mean, let's give the reason that is so important to Georgia too is there are 10 brackets that will determine our BRAC. Those posts that we close down and those that won't. South Carolina has met all 10. We've met 5. Let's put one more on our side as they look at who does the best job of taking care of the spouses in the military. And we are 6 times the top military post in the world for the Army, Fort Stewart. Only reason we hadn't done it more is they disqualified us for 2 years to give other folk, like maybe Benning, a chance to get something. All right.
Oh. Thank you, Representative Tarver. Representative Harden.
Representative Williams, I see one other thing that we might want to look at, and that is there is no time frame for issuing a temporary license. Now, might we run into the same situation getting a temporary that we do getting a reciprocity or a you see what I'm saying? They come and apply for a temporary license, but it may take the board 6 months to give them a temporary license.
And that's not impossible.
Could we put something in there to say a temporary license must be issued within a time frame?
I honestly think it would strengthen the bill. I'd be glad to say 30 days.
30 days?
That's reasonable.
No, 30, I think.
30?
Yeah.
30.
I think temporary should be.
Yeah.
I would.
If you go past 30, you're looking at permanency.
All right, thank you. I want to be sure we have it fixed where they can get what we're after them being able to get.
Mr. Representative, I appreciate you, but don't look anymore here.
Thank you, Representative Harden. Representative Henson, please.
Thank you. I'm over here. Representative Williams, hi.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's a good bill. I do have a question, though, especially with regard to what Representative Harden was saying, like the 30 days and so forth. Because what happens when you get dentists? I'll use dentists as an example. I mean, they've got to go back and check and make sure the person is in good standing with the state that they last were at. And can it be done within a 30-day time frame, or are we not going to put the 30 days in and just hope that it's expedited because it's the right thing to do?
Okay. You will find that primarily that this bill is not geared toward your medical professions, your dentists, your doctors. It's geared toward those technical people in their offices, like your dental hygienists and your speech pathologists and your physical therapists. So, and even I'm amenable to anything that does not bog us down in a new quagmire, because, you know, we can fix things until we wear them out. Now eventually we'll get to 60, then folk will come and say, we can't do it, can we make it 90? And all of a sudden, we have not fixed the problem. We've done what we're often accused of, creating a new problem. Let's just say, hey, let's do it. And if you can't do it in 30 days, a creditable excuse will work anytime. Can I get an extension? Here's why. But at least let's give them something to get busy on, because if you got 60 or 90 days, I'll get to this stack next week because I got 90 days. 30 days and give me a good reason why you couldn't do it.
But that language isn't in, I don't see where the 30 days is.
Oh, my dear friend, Mr. Harden is going to put it in there. He keeps looking.
Well, I understand, but you don't have it in there. So do you want it in there or don't
I
you
said that
want
I
it?
was very, very pleased with his suggestion, and I certainly think I have no problem with that being added to the language.
Can we do something with, I mean, in the event that you do have things and people in other states drag their heels when you need information, I don't want to see someone penalized because they didn't quite make it. And I understand that if they have 90 days, they're going to do it in 90 days. If they have 30 days, they'll try to do it in 30.
I'm at whatever this great body of learned people do to help this bill take on powerful wings where it will land into law.
We have a few more questions, Representative, so let's hear from those. Representative Dutchin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to follow up. We have so many different boards. I think we could get in the weeds if we start trying to get too many details in the bill, including 30 days. That might work for 80% of the boards, but not some particular ones. And then what about if the other state didn't, whatever? I think our Secretary of State and our boards will want to help in this mission. I think our veterans bill, I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't bring my laptop. I think it was worded similarly to give these boards the chance to make these rules. So my vote would be that we pass it as is, and that if the next time this year and the boards aren't doing their job and whatever, then we come up later and specifically address that. But I think it's better to let our boards try to work out their gory details. But I do believe the board's going to be on board with this. I think they're going to want to help, and once they have a reason that they can in law put this military spouse ahead of somebody else and do it quicker, I'm hoping that they'll take that and run with it. That's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Kirby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't disagree with what Representative Dudgeon said, but if we want to amend it, what I would suggest is after the line 35, simply add qualified applicants shall receive a temporary license in 30 days or sooner. And I think that would address that. But it'd be up to the committee whether they want to add that or not.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Harden.
Well, that's what I don't want to complicate the matter, but I want to be sure that it works. Now, I know the boards will want it to work, and we all do, because we all support our veterans, but some of these boards don't meet but once every 2 months or once every 3 months. And if we don't put some time frame in there for that license temporary to be issued, then they might not issue it for 90 days because they're not going to meet again for 90 days. And I want to be sure your bill is great, and I want to be sure it works is the only thing. But whatever you want in it is okay. If you want to try it like it is, I have no problem with that. But
I would think that I would like to ask if the committee would consider trying it like it is and look at how the boards react, and if there have been problems, then we can tweak it a little later. But I'd like to give the boards an opportunity to set up something that will ensure that it's done between meetings, and if we could move forward at that.
All right. Another question, Representative. Representative Flood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I concur with the author of the bill that I think in its current form we should move the bill as is, and especially in view of the comment that was just made where if boards don't meet on a regular basis, how then would they be able to make the approvals in 30 days if they are not meeting in 30 days? So it seems to me that because there are so many different boards with different operating procedures, it's better left to the boards, at least at this point, to figure out the time frame. And if we see a problem with the boards, then we can put in a time certain.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Rakestraw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we talked about giving them a temporary license, and I mean they should be able to do that administratively without having to wait on the board to meet. So I think that would become a non-issue, but some date-related motivation to expedite these I think would be good. And actually I think it would be good to do that for everyone, because someone shouldn't have to wait, several months when they come to Georgia to do business and be able to make a living.
Thank you. Number 3. That one's all right. Okay. We're represented.
Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion, and the motion is that we accept the bill as is, and it do pass.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the bill as stated with the do pass recommendation. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations,
Chairman. I can report back to my folk and ask who opposes it. I said, only the Russians, the Talibans, and ISIS. Thank you.
Okay. Does this strengthen your earlier comment about the committee?
It strengthens that you are definitely the best.
Thank you. We are adjourned.